Today we're going to cover an introduction to quick, affordable, and effective sleep supplements. There's a reason why we don't cover this in the very first day, because there are more fundamental issues than supplements. Many people look to supplement as a solution to fix everything. They think if they can just take this pill and all will go away. And this is kind of this quick fix, short-term look on human performance, which we know is not sustainable. It doesn't work. It creates a dependency on this supplement or this fix, and that's not what we want. You want a fundamental transformational upgrade beyond what a single pill can do, and that's what we're looking at in layers rather than starting off with supplement. Now, having said that, supplement have its role and its place, and this is what we're going to cover today. There are other later more advanced supplements I will talk a bit later down track. What I'm giving you is something generally quick, affordable, and effective, something that can help you sooner rather than later. Okay, without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so supplements, what are we going to discover? What you will discover today is supplements are not supplements. There's a reason why some supplements don't work. If you're here because you've tried some of them and it didn't work for you, you will now realize why they don't work for you. More importantly, what are the ones that will work for you and how to actually take them. Because it's knowing about supplement doesn't mean it'll work. There's a particular way you got to take them to make it work, the way you stack them together. So that's what we're going to cover, as well as we're going to cover some actions for you to take, as we always do. All right, so let's have a look at today's content. Supplements are not supplements. What the heck do I mean by that? Okay, now some of you may have heard that collagen is really helpful for sleep. So you go along to your local pharmacy or drugstore and you bump along and you comes across this product. It says collagen and it's got the word sleep on it. Okay. Well, I heard collagen is going to help with sleep. I'm going to buy this. This looks good. Reputable brand, reputable pharmacy or drugstore. Okay. Well, that you're going to buy it. Then you realize something, it didn't work. Why is that? Why didn't it work for you? Now, if you look closer at the content, so let me just zoom in right now, have a look at the ingredients, and you can see from looking at the ingredient that you have 1 gram of hydrolyzed collagen sourced from fish. So 1 gram sounds like a lot. Well, the thing is, did you know that in all the clinical studies involving collagen, or the active ingredient of collagen, which is glycine to help with sleep, you need about 3 to 5 grams of glycine for it actually to reproduce the benefit that's done in scientific studies, 3 to 5 grams. Okay, well, how much glycine is in 1 gram of collagen? Reality is, in 1 gram of collagen, you only get about 20 to 33%, 25 to 33% of that 1 gram is actually glycine. And if you look at this, have a look, with 1 gram collagen, you are only getting about 250 to 333 milligrams of glycine in this single serve. And you're supposed to be taking about 10 times as much to get the same impact. Can you see why it didn't work? Because the dosage is not right. Yes, you see a product, it's got collagen, but it's got the label sleep. It's supposed to help. You could have easily dismissed and say, hey, collagen doesn't work for me. I tried it before. Well, the reason it didn't work for you because you weren't taking enough of the right collagen and the quantity that you need to get the expected impact. So quantity is something, and the dosage is a key element that you need to pay attention to in terms of taking supplement. You can't take something, if you just don't take enough of it, you're not going to get an impact, right? It's just like if I eat a meal, I just have a single peanut. I'm not going to get full. Did I eat? Yeah, I ate. Does that mean eating doesn't make me full? No, it's just that you don't eat enough. I hope that makes sense. So that's a major reason, because people do not understand what dosage they need for this to be effective in addressing your concern. There's another example which I can think of. You've heard of red wines being good for you, good for the heart, because of the antioxidant resveratrol. Yes? Well, the thing is, in all the study demonstrating the benefit of resveratrol, you have to drink something like 20 bottles of red wine to get that beneficial dose. Okay, so dosage is important. Are you going to drink 20 bottles of wine a day? You're probably going to die of alcoholic poisoning before you get any benefit. So drink up, enjoy your wine, but just don't think it's good for you. It is what it is. It's not the resveratrol that's good for you. You're not going to get enough dosage by drinking wine. You probably need to take a supplement if you want to get benefit from resveratrol. Okay, dosage is one reason why people try something and it didn't work. What's another thing why people have vitamins and it didn't work, or supplements? They're taking it in the wrong time. So vitamins have different properties. Some are water soluble. So if you look at water soluble vitamins, vitamin C, B complex, folate, etc., these dissolve in water, and you need water to actually absorb in your body. Not so much a problem, because the majority will take this. We drink water, we're full of water, so that's not a real issue. Now, there are some vitamins that's actually only fat soluble. And what happens if you're on a low-fat diet because you want to lose weight? Well, you're not going to have enough fat. And what that means is these vitamins, even if you're eating it, it's not coming out. You're not absorbing half of it. So you can take it, but you need to take it with a meal. You take it with some fat. But then if your meal is low fat, you're absorbing a fraction of what you're getting. So you may be taking vitamin A, D, E, and K, and you say, hey, it didn't work. I take this, it didn't work. Well, did you know that you have to take a vitamin D, vitamin K with some fat, maybe a bit of olive oil, a bit of MCT, whatever. You need some fat to absorb it, to make it bioavailable. So that is a reason why it didn't work. Another thing you may not know that is certain vitamins can't be taken with food because they compete with each other. So one example, zinc is good for cold and flu. But did you know that if you take zinc in conjunction with iron, copper, calcium, selenium, they compete for the same pathway. So you're not going to absorb anywhere near what you need from zinc. So again, you can say, oh, zinc didn't work. I had a cold, I took zinc, it didn't help me because I had it with a meal. And it means I absorb less than 10% of what I've taken. Can you start to get? There's a little bit nuance in how you take, when you take, the type, the dosage. These things matter in terms of vitamin. If you've taken some of these things for sleep and it didn't help, this is probably giving you some insight why they don't work for you. And lastly, I want to talk about another reason why people think vitamins don't work, or they try supplements, they say it didn't work for them, is they don't understand how it works. So, for example, tryptophan. People might have heard, hey, if you have some turkey, you might feel a little bit sleepy, especially after Thanksgiving. We feel particularly sleepy. It's because of the tryptophan in turkey, which is rich in turkey. And therefore, if you take tryptophan, it's good for sleep. But what you may not realize is, if you're already having a lot of animal protein, which most American diet or standard Australian diet, a typical Western diet will generally be not lacking meat, you're probably taking more of the same thing, probably not going to help. So you might think tryptophan is great for sleep, so I'm taking tryptophan, L-tryptophan as a supplement. It didn't work because it's not lacking. What you may be lacking is serotonin. So the way tryptophan works is it converts to 5-HTP, which let me go to the pathway. So on the right hand side, you have got the serotonin pathway. On the left side, you've got the quinorenin pathway. Okay, tryptophan can go either way. If you go to the right hand side, it becomes serotonin and becomes something that calms you down. Serotonin is what you call depressive or inhibitory neurotransmitter that calms you down, that makes you more drowsy and puts you in a good relaxed state for sleep. And if you don't have enough of it, you tend to feel very anxious. So, which is good. Tryptophan can become serotonin, but tryptophan also, under certain circumstances, become quinorenin pathway. So if you have a lot of protein, but you're still having poor sleep, you might have plenty of tryptophan, but it's just going down the wrong pathway. So if I can see it, it's going down this way. Okay, hopefully you can see it's going down the wrong pathway. And one of the causes is inflammation. If you got leaky gut, if you got autoimmune issues, your tryptophan might be going this way. So you take a supplement, you're already having a lot of meat. It's not a problem of tryptophan. You're still lacking serotonin, so you're still going to get poor sleep. What you should be taking instead of tryptophan, if you look at the pathway, let me just go in there again. Notice the 5-HTP, which is another supplement you can take. Now, if you take 5-HTP, let me just circle it in the pathway, and so that you can have a look at it. If you look at the 5-HTP, that is next step down from tryptophan. It's definitely already on the serotonin pathway. So, tryptophan may not work for you. You could still need serotonin. A better form to take is 5-HTP, which will more elevate the serotonin. So if tryptophan hasn't worked for you, maybe 5-HTP can work for you. So, but ultimately you do need to think about, why are you converting majority of your tryptophan in the wrong pathway? It could be inflammation, it could be autoimmune illnesses, it could be other causes. So you do need to get that looked at. But in the meantime, having better quality sleep is going to reduce inflammation in itself. It's going to make you feel healthier, and you get into a good cycle where you can be starting to improve your health. Does that make sense? So all I'm trying to say is, taking a supplement isn't just looking at a label and then it just works and then you just take it. You do need to understand the role and the function, like for example, how much dosage to take, when to take it, what to take it with, or not take it with, as in having an empty stomach. Zinc, you want to do it before you go to bed so you can absorb it. It's not competing with other food for absorptions, right? So these are the things that you need to understand. And then just find a nuance. Just because something didn't work for you, it doesn't mean that you can't try again. You just have to keep an open mind, not dismiss something because you tried it hasn't worked for you. That's what I'm trying to get. Keep an open mind. Work with professionals, work with your doctors, but then arm yourself with the knowledge, raise a question, and this is how you're going to get the best possible outcome. Alrighty, so we're going to go on to talk about the best supplements for sleep. I'm going to go through with a list of some of the most helpful supplements that I've used myself and my clients have used them. Everyone's different. It's one of those things that I'm not giving you a medical diagnosis or specific recommendation. What I am giving you and arming you with is knowledge. Knowledge for you to go and investigate, for you to talk over with your doctor on what is the best thing for you. You have to make up your own mind. It is knowledge, and take control. Ultimately, you own the outcome. I talked about the mindset earlier about this approaches. You have to think about what is it that you're going to achieve, and ultimately you're going to own the outcome. So you have to make up your own mind. As advisors, as a trainer, I'm here just give you suggestions, options that you can then go and do your own research, make up your own mind on what you want to take or not take, work with medical professionals, and decide for yourself. we are just advisors for you. We're not here to tell you what to do, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to go over some top supplements. There are things that I'm not going to mention, like Valerian. Valerian is more like a sedative. It knocks you out like a drug, and it smells. So it's not something that I recommend you take on a long basis. But what I'm going to recommend is, for some of you, you do need a bit of a sedative, but there are better options. Okay? So I'm going to give you some options, and I'll tell you whether it's something that I recommend for long term or not. All right. Keep notes. There's a lot of content I'm going to cover. Write down any questions you have and bring it to the coaching session. There's a ton of material, so I just want you to pay attention. This is important for you to understand supplement. The best supplement for sleep is in 3 categories. They are in the category of serotonin boosters. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that helps you calm down, help you feel good, help you feel peaceful. And that's important for sleep, because if you're anxious, if you're stressed, you're not going to sleep well. So having enough serotonin is actually key for you to feel good and happy and be able to have high quality sleep. How do you boost serotonin? There's 2 things that transform people's lives, and I'm going to mention them both. You can experiment which one works better for you, and let me know in a community chat which one worked for you, which one didn't, and try experiment for yourself. I'm going to talk about glycine and collagen, and I'm going to talk about tryptophan and 5-HTP. I've already mentioned a little bit about tryptophan and 5-HTP. I'm going to just give you a little bit more detail around that. Okay, calming, stress reduction, that's again important for high quality sleep. Magnesium, I'll talk about forms of magnesium. There are some forms that's good, some forms that's less good, as in they give you disaster plans if you have too much. I'll tell you what to avoid. I'll talk about something that's really powerful, great for the short-term basis, and for those of you who are just super anxious, you just so desperate, you need something to help now. You need something to fix you like that, and you need something better than just lavender, which just knocks you out. It really doesn't deal with the stress at all. The kava and CBD has their role, and I'll talk about that. Sleep regulation, we're going to talk about melatonin and apogenin. And remember, melatonin, again, if you tried it before, it didn't work, maybe the dosage and timing is not right, something to talk about. I'm going to go through with the dosage and timing a little bit later in today's module. All right, without further ado, there's a lot of content, so I want to keep on moving. Now, first thing, tryptophan. Tryptophan is an essential amino acid that's found very rich in food, and you can't produce it yourself, so it is essential. It's one of the essential amino acids that you must consume through your diet, and if you're not having enough, you have a problem. So again, friendly reminder, this is informational only. It's not a prescription or diagnosis, so use this and consider it as knowledge to explore for yourself. Okay, if you want specific advice, consult a medical professional. So just want to get the disclaimer out of the way. Don't think I'm saying, hey, Steven is telling me to take tryptophan and it didn't work. Okay, so, and I'll also tell you some of the things that you have to watch out for. So tryptophan and 5-HTP. You can see the sources. Egg whites, very rich in tryptophan, spirulina, cod, soy, cheese, caribou, sesame. So there are common sources from food, sunflower seeds. What you do notice is a lot of them are animal sources. So if you're vegan or vegetarian, maybe worth considering a supplement or get extra, or maybe introduce some of these high tryptophan foods like soy. One thing I want to call out about soy is it's probably one of the most polluted legumes you can get. Soy, especially GMO soy, is sprayed with heaps of pesticides like Roundup. And Roundup is known as glyphosate. That's an active ingredient of Roundup. It's a known hormonal disruptor. So what that means is your body, when you're trying to get sleep, you're relying on hormones. You're relying on your neurotransmitters and the right level of, as in low level cortisol or low level adrenaline. You need this right tuning hormone to sleep effectively. Ingesting this glyphosate into your body is going to play havoc on your hormonal system. So yes, soy is high in tryptophan, but if I were you, take it out. Don't have any soy because it's just bad news. If you have to get organic soy whenever you can, but it's not the health food that you think it is. I just want to call that out. So these are the sources. And I've already called out that 5-HTP can be more effective because of the pathway, because tryptophan doesn't convert to serotonin very well if you have inflammation, you have stress, anxiety, cortisol. But then always start with lower dosage. Here I've got some dosage recommendations, and you can go and look up in consumerlab.com, examine.com, very reputable website, and these are references that you can look up and learn more about this type of supplement. You take it about 20 minutes before bed, but do watch out. Tryptophan has some purity issues. There were some issues in the past. People, certain tryptophan is not well processed, and some people at risk at eosinophilia myalgia syndrome, also known as EMS, really probably need to be really aware of tryptophan. Okay, maybe take 5-HTP instead. That's what I will take. If serotonin, stress, anxiety, I'm a bit depressed, this is a problem, this is where I will take 5-HTP instead of tryptophan. Okay. Another thing to be aware of, because this is manipulating your level of serotonin, if you're on any antidepressant or SSRI, serotonin reuptake inhibitors, these class of drugs that work with your neurotransmitters, consult your doctor. So just making sure that they're aware you're taking that. You might need to cut down on dosage. Okay, having too much of this is not good for you. Too much serotonin is not good for you. Creates side effects as well. So be aware. But if you have anxiety or stress, it's well worth talking over. Investigate further. 5-HTP in particular is really helpful for calming down. And for some of you who suffer from regular sugar cravings, again, worthwhile looking at for serotonin. Another form of serotonin booster that I think it's better to start because it's safer, it's food-based, it's whole food-based. So it's collagen and glycine. Collagen and glycine, mainly in the Western diet, in the modern Western diet, we tend to no longer eat like skin, tendons, connective tissue. We tend to eat just the lean meat. And the problem with that is lean meat doesn't have a lot of glycine, doesn't have collagen. All the collagen is for those tissues. In the old days, grandma will not waste anything. All the joints, the bones, they'll boil broth, a bone broth out of it, and it's very rich in glycine, so they don't have a lack. Today, because most people only consume lean protein, we tend to suffer from a deficiency. It's this deficiency that's a problem, and for a lot of you, you'll find collagen extremely calming, extremely good at helping you with sleep, in particular high quality sleep. So what I want to call out is collagen and glycine are different things. Collagen is more the whole food. It's really the sticky jelly stuff that makes gelatin, right? It's really majority collagen. So that is whole food. It's about 33% glycine. Glycine is the more active ingredient that converts best to serotonin. It really depends on your biology. So some people, collagen work a game changer. It works so well for them. Other people actually prefer glycine, and glycine works better for them. So it depends on where you are. The active dosage of glycine is 3 to 5 grams. For collagen, you probably want to take 10 grams to 15 grams for you to get any benefit for helping with sleep. Take it about an hour before bed to give it time to make it into your system. And watch out for certain sources, like if you've got fish allergy, marine allergies, shellfish allergies, just look at the source. Or if you, some of these collagen are sourced from pork, for religious reason, you want to just read out where it's sourced from. Generally very well tolerated. Collagen is something that you can take. It's very safe. It's not really toxic. It's food. You can take as much as you want, and it will help you, especially if you've been eating a lean meat diet. You don't eat a lot of these organs or connective tissues or bone broth anymore. This will make a huge difference. It is a game changer for those of you who lack collagen. So this will boost your serotonin, but in a different pathway, and the pathway is the activation NMDA pathway. Don't forget about technical mumble jumble. It just raises serotonin in a different pathway, a different method to tryptophan. So try it. This might work for you as well. So another one to be aware of. Okay, calming, magnesium. So magnesium is an essential mineral. It's involved in almost 300 enzymatic processes. So heaps of processes rely on magnesium to work very well. And magnesium deficiency can really cause a lot of problem. And it's actually quite an epidemic because our soil are just simply lacking magnesium. So in a lot of developed countries, majority of people actually have some form of magnesium deficiency, and this is why I highly recommend looking at some form of magnesium supplement. You're probably very safe today to take that. And the benefit of magnesium is that if you take in excess, you get a bit of diarrhea, and you know that's when you're going to cut it back, right? So just be conscious of the dosage to make sure you're taking enough. You can get magnesium from natural sources on nuts and leafy green vegetables, but who does eat a perfect diet every day? Probably not me, or not you. Cool. So when you take magnesium, this is something to be conscious of. So I've talked about the sources. It does take time to build up to address a deficiency. For some of you, you might want to take for a long period of time. You want to build up your magnesium level over time. The blood test of magnesium is generally not a good indicator because only a fraction is actually in your blood. The serum level magnesium is not a good indicator. So the better indicator is really just to take it and see whether it improves. Too much can create disaster pants. What you want to focus on, the best form for sleep. There's many different forms. There's magnesium oxide, glycinate, chelate, citrate. There's all these different forms of magnesium, and this is something you need to be aware of. Not all forms are the same. The cheapest form are like oxide. It doesn't really do anything other than give you the runners of the toilet. So I don't recommend the oxide. It's super cheap. So just don't pick any magnesium. What I want you to look for is L-threonate, okay, and glycinate. For sleep, these are the two forms that's best for sleep. You want to look for those two forms. Glycinate is magnesium binded with glycine. We already talked about how glycine is a serotonin booster. So you're getting the best of both worlds to have magnesium glycinate. L-threonate is really good for the brain. A huge amount makes it crosses the blood-brain barrier and make it into your brain, make it into your central nervous system, your spinal fluid, which is where you want it if you want to get this calming effect, this beneficial. So magnesium, if you try it hasn't worked, try this form, L-threonate or glycinate, and make sure you note the dosage. And check it out at examine.com. It talks about the dosage. It's around 200 to 400 milligrams, and take it about 60 minutes before bed. One thing to note that if you drink a lot of alcohol, if you have diabetes, you have digestive issues like SIBO, leaky gut, you probably need more than others. Just be conscious of that. It's not one size fits all. You need to work out what works for you. This is something to worthwhile consider. It's a big factor for improving the quality of my deep sleep. It made a huge difference to have the right form of magnesium. So check it out. The other one thing I forgot to put in notes that I want you to take note of magnesium is certain magnesium drinks. Magnacom, for example, is quite acidic. So when you drink it, just make sure you brush your teeth with something that remineralizes your teeth. Otherwise, you can really just wear your teeth out over time. So something to keep considering. For those of you who suffer severe chronic stress, maybe you have PTSD, you have like real severe traumatic issues, and you just need that extra help, I suggest you having a look into kava. So you haven't seen kava before, it's like chamomile on steroids. It just puts you in a state of zen. Okay, so it's really strong. So you really want to learn to address your anxiety and stress differently, fix it fundamentally. Go to a psychologist, go to cognitive behavioral therapy, find a mindfulness coach, practice mindfulness. You want to really fix it on a longer term basis rather than relying on kava as a short. But it is great for short term fix. Don't just make it. It can create a psychological dependency, which is not what you want. The forms to look at is look for WS1490. That's an extract. It's pure. There's issues of contaminations in the past where if you get contaminated kava extract, it can actually create liver damage. So beware and watch out. Purity is an issue, so find trusted brands. And this is really important. And if you can't find the WS1490 form, look for active ingredients. So if you go to an active ingredient list, you'll see standard deviations. Convact-lectones. Convact-lectones is the active ingredients from kava. If they standardize it, then you know that you're getting a consistent dosage. You're getting what you're paying for. Rather than just equivalent to X milligrams of kava extract, it needs to show how much kava lactones is actually included. Okay, timing just before sleep. But if you're looking for a general daily stress management, you can do sleep doses. This is great for those of you who are just desperate. Like you just need something to give you a bit of a break while giving you a chance to learn to manage stress. I talked about stress management on a day-to-day basis in past modules. Check those out because that is how you ultimately address stress in the long term. But for you who need this urgent intervention and support, this is helpful. And another thing that you may want to investigate is Cbd oil. Now, Cbd is the common cannabidiol that's derived from cannabis. Okay, don't get excited. This is not one of the things that make you high. And definitely don't smoke it. There is no healthy amount of marijuana smoking. Okay, just get that idea out of your head. It is derived from cannabis. It's the second most abundant psychoactive compound from cannabis, and it's not THC, which is the one that gives you high. It's shown really good promise for anxiety reduction and sleep improvement. Also, there's a whole bunch of issues like things like it's showing great promise for inflammation reduction, pain management, cancer, etc. It can be transformative for some people. Some people say that it saved their life. So something well look into for, but again, short-term fix, great if you're just looking for relief. There's actually almost 190 human trials of CBD for therapeutic purposes. So you can see there's some major momentum in the science behind it. They're still working this out. Now, in terms of dosage, for sleep, generally about 25 milligrams to 400 milligram oral dose. So take it in. no topical. The rubber, like the topical skin, rubbing into the skin doesn't work very well for sleep. You want to look at oral dosage. Start with a lower dosage. A lot of these supplements, if you get away with lower dosage, start there. Okay, take 60 minutes before bed. Now, just caution. The law is a bit of gray. So if you look at the legislation in the US, your THC below 0.3%, so 0.0 to 0.3%, technically is legal, but it's a bit of a gray zone. So check your local legislation about the legality of CBD. In Australia, it's definitely a regulated substance, so I can't go and buy it. But in the US, it's readily available. You can purchase CBD oil. Just conscious of purity. There's a lot of brands that advertise a certain amount of purity, but it's not what's on the label. So buy from trusted brand. It may impair your judgment, cognitive performance, because it's ultimately a mind-altering substance, but it does reduce stress. It does work. So check it out. That's another thing to look at. Okay, I've been talking for hours. I need a drink. I think you need a break as well, don't you? Okay. Now let's talk about melatonin. Melatonin is a very powerful neurotransmitter produced by the pineal gland in your brain. Now, as we do age, our pineal gland become calcified, so we're actually producing less. So as we get older, we probably need more, but not a heck of a lot. What it does is it's well known for causing and regulating sleep. What impacts production of melatonin is light. You've learned that in the earlier module. I talk about light and darkness. So especially light in the blue wavelength, it will shut down your production of melatonin faster than you can say, whoa. Okay? So that's why I talk about the light earlier. Don't rely on melatonin supplement if you can. For your older, you might need to take a small amount, but if you can get the melatonin you need by controlling the light and darkness, maybe you don't need as much. This is for you who need that extra kick. Also, it's really good for dealing with jet lags. I'll talk about later. For dealing with interrupted sleep or resetting of your sleep cycle. If you're a shift worker, melatonin can be used for that purpose. It can help you in terms of maintaining some resemblance of normality. So melatonin is great, and it will normalize your sleep patterns. So let's have a look at the detail. So I talked about the light and darkness. You can see that sunlight, infrared. I talk about light in the blues. Spectrum suppresses melatonin. What generates melatonin? Sunlight and infrared. So get plenty of sun. What that produces is a different type of melatonin to what's in your produced by your brain, in your pineal gland. The melatonin that's produced through sunlight exposure is intracellular melatonin, which is highly potent form of antioxidant. And you need a bit of that. You need both. If you're lacking one or another, you're not going to get the best outcome. So again, make a conscious decision to get some regular sun exposure, ideally without your clothes, in a way, just a small amount. Don't get sunburned, okay? So don't get sunburned and say Stephen's promoting skin cancer. No, don't get sunburned. Careful there. But you do need the sun. You can't live healthy without sun. It's a highly potent antioxidant. It's anti-cancer. It reduces fat accumulation, improves mood. So it's not just about sleep regulation. It's non-addictive. It's non-toxic. But then once you go over a certain amount, it's not going to add any more benefit. So start low, get the benefit you're looking for, and having any more is probably not going to make that much of a difference. What I recommend is starting with about 300. I know I put 500, but you can start with 300 milligrams, micrograms, not milligrams. Okay, 1,000th of a milligram of 1 milligram. 500 microgram is 0.5 milligrams. So just notice that mcg is different to mg. Notice the difference. It's a much smaller quantity than a milligram. 1,000 microgram is 1 milligram. If you're confused, just ask me in the coaching, but you should be able to read the label and decide the dosage. So start low, take 30 minutes before your bed. You'll help create a healthy sleep. If you have trouble staying asleep, you might look at extended release melatonin, and that could help you. Okay, something to be aware: if you're taking neuroactive agent like antidepressant, ADHD medication, any kind of neurotransmitter manipulation medication, talk with your doctor. Make sure they're aware you're looking at taking melatonin. Okay, a lot of content. So feel free to fast forward or go back if you need to hear the content again. Apogenin. Apogenin is a bioflavonoid. So if you don't know what it is, just think of it as this healthy plant compound. Now, the plant actually don't produce it for us. The plant actually produce it to protect themselves against parasites, against fungus, against basically things that attacks the plant. But it happens, it's a stress response. But what we realize in modern research is this stress response for the plant also creates a stress response in us, but in a healthy manner. Just like going to the gym, it's a stressful response, but it's short term. You know what they say, what don't kill you makes you stronger? It's a little bit like that. So apogenin is a compound that does create a healthy homeostasis response, which is a stress response that actually help you become healthier and come up with a whole host of benefits. Okay, it's found in a lot of plants, mainly plant sources and herb. It's very abundant in chamomile tea, and this is one reason why chamomile is really calming. It's really good for helping with sleep. If you try chamomile tea, it hasn't worked for you, you probably just need the right concentration. You need the right amount of quantity. And in high amount of apogenin, it can act as an anti-anxiety medication. It can actually sedate you as well. So you actually have double benefits when you take enough of it. So also very potent anti-cancer compound, very good. What I recommend what I could recommend you start is have it as tea. Maybe just have double chamomile tea bag, maybe have 3 tea bag, and experiment with that and see how you feel. If you need additional, you can look at Apogenin supplements, which you can buy. There's a brand, I think it's called Double Wood. Look into that. It's a 50 milligram content, so just start low and gradually work your way up. What's the active dosage according to research is 2.4 to 8.1 milligrams per kilograms of body weight. So if you're 80 kilograms adult, it's about 192 milligrams starting out for anxiety and for sleep. Okay, take a 60-minute before bed, and generally very safe in whole food forms, and there really no toxicity reported. Okay, so we've talked a lot about different types of supplement for you to consider. I'm sure a lot of you have questions about it, so bring them, take notes, bring them to the coaching session. We can go over them with you. How do you actually take these supplements? How do you actually consume them? What's a recommendation? What's a good approach? This is what I recommend. This is what I will do. You have to make up your own mind when you want to start, because this is not a prescription. Remember, this is education. I'm sharing you my journey and my recommendation for my clients when I work with them, but this is not specific advice for you. As a general principle, start lower dose and look for impact, and then gradually work your way up. I will stick with the same dosage for about 2 or 3 days before thinking about upping the quantity. Yeah, so that's a general principle, right? Work your way up. Don't start with the maximum dose and work your way down. So for me, I will start off with a whole food supplement. So collagen and glycine. Collagen and glycine, because it's very well tolerated. It's a food I can take it, and we just it's one of the things that's been missing from our diet for such a long time. So putting it back into diet doesn't do any harm. I will start there. You can get different type of collagen. So in the shopper's guide, I'll talk about some of the brands that I like, some of the way I consume it. Collagen is just all around good. It's great for your skin, great for your hair. It's great for your sleep. It's just a lot of benefit. For many people, it made a huge difference. Other people might prefer glycine as a supplement, and you can look for that in your favorite pharmacy. Melatonin, another one of the all-round good supplement for sleep, particularly if we're getting a bit older, where our pineal gland are not producing as much melatonin as we would like, and we haven't really done enough work to change the lighting conditions of the workplace or our home environment. Therefore, having a bit of melatonin is going to help. Magnesium, again, because it's so many people have deficiency in magnesium, again, a really good place to start. And Apogenin. Apogenin as anti-cancer, antioxidant, is a really good all-round supplement to be taking. But I will start off with food. So parsley is rich in Apogenin. Chamomile tea is rich in Apogenin. So I'll probably start there, right? So wherever you can, get it from food, get from herbs, rather than taking a supplement, then work your way up and try more supplement. Now, for those of you who are really suffering, you're calling out for help, you need help, think about investigating, work with your doctor, do your research on kava, on CBD, and those things can be really helpful in the immediate term. It brings relief, and then you can work on becoming more mindful and getting better at managing stress, anxiety in long term, right? Completely get it. There's a role for these short-term fixes. Just make sure you don't rely upon it in the long term. And lastly, now tryptophan, 5-HTP, again, they're good. I'll do them later, mainly because, most people have too much meat rather than too little meat. So tryptophan, I think, is not the issue. But if you do have anxiety, you have depression, you feel generally like low, 5-HTP is a good start. That's a good way to start taking it. And I'll prefer 5-HTP rather than tryptophan, mainly because tryptophan is linked with purity issues in the past. 5-HTP goes straight into the serotonin pathway, and therefore you're more likely to get the benefit you expect. All right, this is a big module today. So what are your actions? Your actions today: take ownership. I present a whole bunch of information for you to consider. Go and research. Go to examine.com, consumerlab.com. There's some trusted resources I posted in the past where you can have a look at. Talk to your doctor and work out what you want to try. And what I want you to do is share your experience when you're looking at trying what's worked, what hasn't worked. Share it with your community. We are different. You are unique. I'm arming you with a whole bunch of information that these are the things that I know that has made the most. It can only help you if you make use of it. So do that. And that's it.